You're listening to Season 15 of the Virtual Tailgate, a media bullcrap production covering college football in the Atlantic Coast Conference. I'm Andrew.
I'm David, fan of the 35-time national champion Virginia Cavaliers, and more important than that, Jared, the number one team in the ACC.
I'm Geoff, and I
And
have
I'm the
nothing to say.
and I'm the Beard Stroker 69.
Be sure to join the tailgate on Facebook at Virtual Tailgate or email us at virtualtailgate@mediabullcrap.com. Geoff, don't say the word stroke.
Well, I wasn't going to, but now that you mentioned it, imagine being a 72-year-old walking into a bar with such confidence. You see this fine, and I mean fine 22-year-old sipping on a drink at the bar. And you think, my granddaughter is that age. Maybe I should go talk to her. Confidence. You think I'm wearing my finest cutoff hoodie. I'd like to buy her a drink and ask her out. Amazing confidence. But the real confidence comes from said 22-year-old saying yes and going home with this geriatric who looks and blends in with the homeless population without even trying. Because Tacovas, they aren't just for walking around, because if you're going to be knocking boots, you might as well make them Tacovas.
In this world, Chapel Bill is wearing $400 boots and a cutoff hoodie. Am I right in this? They have this. Okay, I'm just making
This is
sure.
game day attire, Andrew.
It's
You've been paying attention.
all right. Well, this is our game balls this week are part of the Virtual Tailgate mid-season defensive spectacular because of some of the spectacular or maybe less than spectacular defensive plays that were made this week. I'm going to kick us off with Stanford's amazing upset victory over FSU that, if you will recall, I did call last week. Matt Rose and Josiah Galvin stopped Gavin Sawchuk just short of the goal line on an untimed down to hang on to an upset victory over FSU. Far too late for any of us to have actually seen it on Saturday.
A game that I think most of us got to see on Friday night was the Louisville fingertip pick against Miami and the big upset over the Canes. The Cardinals forced 4 critical turnovers, interceptions, including the play by shutdown corner Jabril Mack, who got nationally recognized for his efforts on Friday, as well as the game-sealing interception by TJ Capers. So kudos to the guys out there. They did a great job.
Ladies and gentlemen, I've been told that we're doing a shtick for our game balls, so I cannot award one to Chris Bell, Louisville wide receiver, who had the monster game and pulling off the biggest win for an ACC team on the season this year as the Cardinals upset the Hurricanes. The guy's having a career season, probably going to be an early first round draft pick next year, but you wouldn't know that listening to this show because we have to give awards to random defensive units. I can't even give the award to Cam Robinson, the Virginia linebacker, who had another monster game and forced the safety that sealed the victory for UVA. I'm apparently to give it to the UVA defensive line on that safety. The line had nothing to do with the safety. It was a linebacker who blitzes and makes the tackle. Also, the whole thing set up by a special teams error by the Washington State Cougars that had nothing to do with UVA whatsoever. So UVA D line game ball. It didn't stop the run all day long. Washington State was the number 6 worst rushing attack in the country until they got to Charlottesville on Saturday, where the UVA D line played Matador defense against them. Chris Bell is out there making himself millions of dollars in the NFL draft. We're going to give the award to the UVA defensive line that tried to lose the game to a team without a conference.
David, we're going to have to talk to you post podcast.
That's
okay.
We
You know,
have
what thing-
pre-show meetings for a reason.
Yeah, one
I don't
thing.
They're
know what
over
happened in
text.
this pre-show meeting. I wasn't there.
One thing we know is
You were smoking something.
One thing we know: David is not Ron Burgundy. If you write it, he will not read it. I mean, he's definitely not.
Game ball, UVA defensive line, safety.
Olay. I mean, it's like, oh my. Well, I feel a little bit self-conscious right now. as I lead in with.
You don't have to. David handed out your game ball already. If you don't want to go,
Oh my goodness, my game ball this week goes to Brent Austin of of California, forced a fumble of UNC, Nathan Leacock at the goal line, who looked poised to give UNC the lead with less than 4 minutes to go in the game, preserving the Cal Bears 21-18 victory over the UNC Tar Heels. Even got a little bit of a post-game presser from Bill Belichick regarding this. I think it was from the post game. I don't know. It could have been from something else. He said just came up a little bit short today, a couple of inches, I guess. Guess that was the game. I don't know.
Oh, that
On to you,
was
Jared.
yes, yes, and I'm going to be a good soldier and just stick to the script per
Same.
our pre-podcast meeting. So glad to be part of the team. Anyway, these power rankings are brought to you by the deep thoughts from the Virtual Tailgate. Why do we call ourselves the ACC when our conference is just totally ASS? Anyway,
he's not gonna let go of that one, guys.
I was in enough of the pre-show meeting to know that wasn't on the script.
Wow.
That was specifically barred from the script.
You notice how his eyes roll back in his head when he gets ready to do those every time?
You know who else's eyes are rolling back in their head?
That's like Zool speaking through him or something.
there's no gatekeeper, only Zool. Anyway,
Come,
top
come to think of it, Chapel Bill kind of looks like.
yeah. Are you a god? Anyway, top 5, bottom 3. Number 1, Georgia Tech, moving up a spot after their 27-18 win over Duke. Number 2, Virginia. Okay, moving up one spot after their very well convincing 22-20 win over Washington State, the team without
Wins
a
are
conference.
wins, baby.
That safety was quite a play, wasn't it?
I guess it was, according to the AI script we read. Number 3, Louisville, jumping up 2 spots after their 24-21 win over Miami in the upset. And we have 2 teams tied at 4. Miami dropping 3 spots due to the loss to Louisville, and we have a sound effect to go with it.
He clambered up, looked in, and nearly fell off in surprise.
Someone defecating.
And also,
What was going to happen? I told you the U was smoke and mirrors. What did I tell you? You guys kept saying, no, the U is back. I said, no, just wait.
Andrew, in your free time, can you please go back the last couple of weeks and find all the different times that David reminded us that the U was back?
Geoff, it's ancient history, man. Look ahead. Look forward.
I mean, David, you were talking about the U so much, we thought you were on your back for the U. At number 4,
When I said the U is back, what I meant was we're going to see the same thing out of them we see every year. They're back.
also, actually updated that time for 4, but actually up to number 5, SMU, jumping up 2 spots after their 35-24 win over Clemson. Bottom 3, North Carolina dropping a spot after their tough 21-18 loss to Cal on that fumble into the end zone, recovered by Cal for the a win for the Bears, which we still really don't know if they're good or not. I don't think the Bears fans know if they're good or not, which
It's not even worth our normal drops for North Carolina at this point.
Yeah. Number 16, Virginia Tech dropping a spot because they were on the bye week. Hey, if you're in the ACC Power Rankings, everyone gets an FU award eventually. Welcome to the club. And at number 17, Boston College stayed at the cellar after their 38-23 embarrassing loss to UConn. That leaves 16 other teams saying this.
Come on, you damn bird! Come and get me!
In fairness, Jared, if there was any way to drop BC further, I would have dropped them after that performance against UConn.
Well, I mean, we could always add more teams in the conference in a few years, right?
Well, I'm going to tell you what we're not going to do tonight. It's not in the script and I don't have to do it. I'm not going to recap how our pick'em is going because I am sick and tired every single week.
Well, hold on. I'd kind of like it. I think we should I think we should pull that back in real quick.
I don't think so. I think Jared will agree. We don't need to talk about it.
Yeah, I can live without it.
I mean, Jared, you weren't the worst.
Oh, well, in that case, I gotta know.
All right, look. Somehow last week, these numbers, there's some kind of like voodoo magic that goes into how these numbers are created. They never make any sense.
It's called
Somehow,
arithmetic.
I lost $306.05. Jared lost exactly $206.05. Seems impossible. Um, Geoff made a boatload of money, but never as much as Andrew, who every single week wins these things. The man, if he's not a degenerate gambler, he should be.
If you would like to see the work, I put $200 on a plus 625 return on Stanford to outright beat Florida State and therefore made $12.50. I then proceeded to put $200 also on Syracuse to outright beat Pitt, which was just tossing money into the ocean.
And actually, other than that one pick, you didn't do that great.
No, I really didn't. I put some, I put some other little ones out here and there. It didn't turn out that much, but yeah, I'm gonna do the numbers for you guys here in in the next week or so, and I'm gonna split my pick 'em in season, and I'm gonna tell you how well I did on bets for or against Florida State, and then on all other bets, because I suspect that it's going to be like plus 6,000 and minus 5.
Here's the only thing that's giving me hope on this whole thing is that I don't know how to interpret the spreadsheet that has this data, but all I know is that it indicates that Andrew has $0 available now, which I believe means he is out. So he can make a comeback. Anyway, on the season, Andrew is somehow $4,000 to the good. Geoff is 1,500 to the good. I'm 500 to the good. Jared still in the red. That's the only thing I've enjoyed about this pick'em this season, is being a little ahead of Jared. All right, all of that, way too much preamble to get into talking about actual football. I have good news and bad news. The good news is they are going to play college football in the Atlantic Coast Conference this week. The bad news is I'm not sure anyone's going to be watching most of these games. These are not the most compelling matchups that we've ever had. But there are a few games that have close point spreads that do have some implications on the ACC title hunt, who's going to be playing in Charlotte for the championship at the end of the season. The first of those are the Mustangs of SMU, who have dropped 2 non-conference games. They're still undefeated in the ACC. In fact, I think in their whole history in the Atlantic Coast Conference, they've never lost a regular season conference game. They're traveling to Wake Forest, but come in only as 4.5-point favorites. And it looks to me like across the board, we all like SMU in this one. So here's my question. Why is that spread not more? And what has to happen for SMU to get knocked off in this one?
It's a good question about why it's not more. Other than saying like we're at a neutral site game, it would be closer to 10, because of the 3.5 point that you would generally give to the home team, something like that. I really don't know. I think SMU, like, despite having had a good season in the conference so far, their only meaningful, like, good win really, as far as in the conference goes, is Clemson, because Syracuse and Stanford shouldn't really be counted as like meaningful wins. So they're somewhat untested even in the conference, except that, they returned a lot of people. They returned their quarterback from last year. Things seem to be going good for them. The thing that's even more confounding to me, that I'm going to get Geoff to explain to me next, is that the spread has actually closed.
Yeah, I just saw that.
Yeah, it's only 3.5 now, almost everywhere. So like, I can offer a little bit of like, maybe I can play some statistic games here, but I can't figure out why the spread is as close as it is either. They're a 70% favorite to win this game, and that seems to tell me that like they're going to dominate. So, what do you got for us, Geoff?
Yeah, I mean, it's an This is an interesting one when I look at it because when I first saw the spread opening at 4.5, minus 4.5 for SMU, it felt it felt off as you were talking about, Andrew. But the more I look at these two teams, I think it makes sense why it's that way. Is this is an SMU team that, as you said, does not really have much of a um, much of a signature win on the season so far. I mean, even last week, playing a depleted Clemson team, good win at least against it's a win against Clemson is a win against Clemson, but still certainly not the Clemson team we're used to seeing. And then this is a Wake Forest team that somehow just manages to I can only say it this way, like backs its way into wins. There's nothing flashy, there's nothing sexy about this Wake Forest offense, but somehow they're putting up points and they're winning games, doing just enough. I do think what makes this game a little bit interesting is the matchup of that SMU passing attack against the Wake Forest secondary that's coming into this game. In the top 50, I believe they're like somewhere around 32nd in the country in passing yards per game, giving up less than 200 yards through the air. All that said, I still struggle with where Wake Forest gets their points from, even though SMU's defense is certainly nothing to write home about. But all that comes into play makes me feel like this is why this spread is close. It's at Wake Forest. There are still questions about SMU on this side of the ball. I mean, it still feels like a weird spread for this game, but the more I look at it, the more it kind of makes sense that these are two teams that are really we don't know a whole lot about. And I guess if you're pushing the line from minus 4.5 to minus 3.5, money's coming in on Wake Forest. It is probably one of those things where people that do actually bet in these realms see more of the value on taking a flyer if you're laying a spread. Laying a minus 110 to win 100 on on a spread. The smart play would be on Wake Forest at this time versus SMU.
I wonder, is it possible that Wake Forest is just better than we realize? I mean, looking at their results on the season, and thinking back a few weeks ago to that game against Georgia Tech, where they had it, like it was there for the taking. They couldn't quite get the job done, but if they win that game, you're looking at a 5-1 team that's, near the top of the conference. Maybe, I mean, as a part of this, that's not so much Vegas distrusting SMU, but maybe rating Wake Forest a little bit higher than we have. And I mean, this is their chance to show out here. If Wake can get the job done, all of a sudden we're thinking very differently about their program.
Yeah.
But it looks like we're all taking SMU to win and cover the spread, right?
Yep.
I mean, I will say it. Of course, the spread doesn't the spread the spread doesn't lead us to it. But if I'm not sure I want to take a flyer on Wake in the money line at plus 142 here. But let me tell you, if it was giving me some of those numbers that Andrew likes to bet on for Florida State for the Florida State games, I could have almost
I
convinced myself to take Wake Forest in the money line on this one. Payout's not quite there.
Yeah, I'm lost this week with FSU being on a bye. It's hard times.
Yeah, you don't know who to make your winnings off of this week.
That's
Yeah.
why he gave himself $0 available. All right, fellas. So that game, the SMU at Wake, is the noon affair on the CW.
Which I won't be able to watch. So
Same, yeah. Half the
Yep.
country's not going to be seeing that one. Here's one that maybe a few more of us will get. This is 3:30 on the ACC network. NC State Wolfpack traveling north to take on the Pitt Panthers. It's the Pitt team that kind of quietly sitting at 3-1 in the conference. They're in the hunt for an ACC title. NC State program that's been up and down on the season, a little more down than up. They're 4-3, but 1-2 in conference. Pitt are favored by 7 and the hook in this one. I don't know. I don't know. Jared, kick us off here.
No.
Was he talking to us or is he talking to like?
Yeah, I am. Just no. I yeah. I don't. What you want us to tell? It's NC State Pitt. At the end of the day, guys, like outside of those two fan bases, and even among those, they probably don't even care about this damn game. I mean, yes, Pitt has an outside shot at the ACC title.
It's
They,
not
by the way,
outside. They're 3-1.
but Pat Narduzzi's going to crap the bed. NC State, I guess, yeah, but they're not a championship caliber team. this, this game is just there. It exists. It'll be forgotten after it's over.
All right, so Jared has clearly not done any research. Geoff, you appear to have the same pick as Jared. Why?
Pretty much for the same reasons that Jared just like, no, in all seriousness, this is a game that I actually find is very interesting. You know, Jared just spent, you know, his 30 seconds of fame there trashing it. You know, because he's like he's trying to hold in the bubble guts during the show. But I think it's an interesting game because this is an NC State team. We just finished talking about Wake Forest sitting at 4-2. How close they could have been to 5-1. Their loss actually, I believe, was to NC State. Or their other loss besides the Georgia Tech was to NC State. This is an NC State team that at 4-3, I think, is also um, one that has some question marks about it. I mean, the offensive pop of this team is not to be questioned at this point, save for that blowout game that they had a couple weeks ago against Notre Dame, where they just couldn't move the ball at all. But you know, between Hollywood Smothers, C.J. Bailey, that receiving group, I mean, the offense certainly has some pop to it. The defense is really where the questions lie. Pitt is really the ultimate team of and David will probably allude to this, you know, we think they'll win, but we just don't know what team's gonna show up. It's a team that blew out Boston College, a few weeks ago, played close games against Florida State, and then played a closer than maybe they should have game, by 17 points to Syracuse. So you just start to wonder, is this a Pitt team that's going to really put somebody away? I think these teams are a little bit closer matched up than it might seem on paper at 4-3 and 5-2. Pitt sometimes has a tendency to play a little bit down to its competition, or to at least play closer in games than it should, make inopportune mistakes that gives away a field goal or a touchdown there. So at the -7.5 for this Pitt game, I'm going to think Pitt finds a way to win this game, but I feel like NC State keeps this game closer, even if that means a fourth quarter type of thing where they're down 10, score a touchdown to close, you know, into 3 or something like that, where they're trying to make up some ground because they're behind. But a win would not surprise me. I do not think is outside the realm of possibility for NC State to outright win this game, in spite of the 7.5 spread that they're looking at in the Vegas betting odds.
Yeah, well, this game is closed to only be 6.5 now, and I'm taking NC State on the money line to win this game. Um, there have been a lot of things to like about NC State. Um, they thus far in their season that didn't necessarily, you know, haven't materialized fully as their conference season has gone on. They got a good non-conference win against a very good team that they definitely don't share any conference affiliations with at all. But they also just ran
Talking
into
about
the
Campbell, I think.
yes, of course. They also ran into the buzzsaw that uh, was Notre Dame here recently. I think this is going to be a bounce back game for them, even though they've got to travel again up north. I just feel like this is that one. I pretty well have established a pattern in looking at our conference, that there's going to be one like reasonable sized spread that's going to be an upset every week, and for me this week that is the Pitt UNC or Pitt NC State game.
Yeah, I mean, I think your last point's a good one, that just the chaos factor. This is a game that could be a part of that. But I kind of disagree about these two programs. I feel like they're going in opposite directions. I think this is an NC State team that came out of the gates pretty strong this year and has kind of lost their way. And because it's not just that Notre Dame loss most recently, but this is a team that got knocked off by the Hokies, a team that really seems to be struggling to find their way, as opposed to a Pitt team that had that ugly loss to West Virginia, but since then has actually looked pretty good. Now, again, that's ACC competition. None of these teams are playing juggernaut schedules here, but I think Pitt is trending the right direction. They seem to have found the answer at quarterback. I think they're gonna win this. I'm hedging. I'm just taking them on the money line. This is a Pitt win to me. You could tell me they win by 4 or by 24, and I would believe it. But I think the Panthers get the win on Saturday. All right, we're gonna go back in time to discuss one more game with a little bit of depth. These are the Friday Night Lights in Blacksburg. No doubt Jared will be there in attendance, singing Enter Sandman,
Mhm.
hoping for the arrival of Randy Edsall as their new coach a season from now, and cheering on his Hokies as they host the Cal Golden Bears. Um, this is we've kind of joked before that we don't really understand Cal. That's certainly true, but Cal has a chance to become bowl eligible in this one. They have kind of scratched their way to 5 wins on the season, held on for the victory a week ago at home over North Carolina, trying to uh, get the road victory here against a Hokies team that I don't know. It kind of feels like they're hanging on for dear life. Like there are moments where the change at head coach seems to be bearing some good fruit. There are other times where they seem to regress to something different than that. Hard to know exactly what to expect out of them. It looks to me like we all like Cal on the money line to win this as slight underdogs on the road. What's going to happen here for the Hokies to hold serve at home?
The best case scenario would be the Cal decides they don't want to cross the country and just forfeit the game. That'll be an easy W for the Hokies. If they don't do that, uh, then I don't. It's going to be a tough one. I know we joke about Cal. I think Cal's a little bit better than we're giving credit for. And honestly, again, you have time to cross the country. They're going to fly in about Wednesday or Thursday. They get acclimated with the area or get their internal clock reset. And it's a Friday night game. It's not a Saturday at 12 o'clock kickoff. So, Cal's, I think, gonna be okay on that front. And I think that's a disadvantage for the Hokies, even though they are playing in Lane Stadium on the Friday night. And we've seen what the Hokies are. They're a team that's gonna fight, but they're just not disciplined. They can't figure out how to cut down the penalties. They can't be consistent at the quarterback position with throws, but there's no one really better behind them. So this is what we got. Receiving game is hit or miss depending on the quarterback play, and the running backs are pretty much the same thing. If the quarterback's not doing well, the running game struggles there too. Defense can only do so much. The bright spot is the kicking game. That's pretty good. Problem is you have to actually get in field position for that.
Kicking
And
game is very good. Like
yeah,
we haven't talked about that, but that kid is unbelievable.
he's gonna be in. He's gonna be in the NFL. He's gonna get a chance in the NFL. No doubt. He is solid. But outside of that, it's just going through the motions. I could see a, I don't know, 24-20 type of game where Cal gets a 2 touchdown in the last minute, and the Hokies just go, "What else is new? We're 2-6. 4 more games to go."
Yeah, I mean, I I think the reason that you see everybody here taking Cal on the money line is because that spread, that initial line, and the continued betting on that line feels like hangover from a Virginia Tech team that does not exist anymore. This is how we bet on the legacy team versus the we don't know anything about this team that is Cal. It just overall, I think that kind of ends up setting the way things feel. Everything about this game in any other year says that Tech wins and wins reasonably big, and yet I just don't see it. Cal looks decent. Um, I think the cross country thing is all like I feel like there's probably a smarter money line that says whoever has to get on a plane uh, loses unless they're playing Boston College. But I feel like maybe it's whoever gets on a plane loses unless they play the bottom 4 teams in this league. I don't know.
I feel like, Andrew, you're saying how your bets this year, you've made all your money just betting against Florida State. I feel like I've lost a lot of my money betting for Virginia Tech, and that's part of. I think I'm just would fool me once, shame on you. Fool me again, fool me. You can't fool me twice. Is how I feel on this, and so I think I can't keep picking the Hokies to pull it together. I still feel like they will. I think that I don't know. I think that the Hokies are the more talented team here, but they have not demonstrated that they can put it together. I think Jared's point's a good one. Real questions at the quarterback position. I think mostly with decision making. Like Kyron Drones manages to make the wrong decision in so many different instances. And I think against a Cal team that in general can play some defense. Their defense got a game ball today, right? Like this is a team that can get stops. I think the Hokies get frustrated by that, and Cal does enough to get the win on the road.
Yeah, I think you kind of wrapping this one up. I think you kind of hit on the piece that I was going to hit on as well, David. That this is a matchup of probably two teams. You would probably say that statistically the defense is probably the stronger side of the ball for both of these teams. Certainly for Virginia Tech, not that their defense is the defense of old, but the offense just has so many questions and inefficiencies going on with it right now. But that secondary is suspect, and I just think that that Cal's quarterback, Sagapolutele, is a he's had an efficient year so far. He's putting up consistent numbers. He's not really having big games up and down. So I think he's a consistent factor. But on the defensive side of the ball, coming in with 62 tackles on the season is Cade uh, Uluave for at linebacker for the Bears. I think any running game that Drones might have might be able to use his legs for. I think that somebody sitting in the middle like that as a linebacker, able to keep track of him in the backfield is just going to limit his ability to take off and run in any way that he might to try to supplement the passing game. So do I understand why the spread is minus 2.5 Virginia Tech, and has since grown conceptually, yeah, but I just do not see anything on paper that makes me think that that is a Hokies team that is in any position other than having the bye week in the home field to beat this Bears team the way they've been playing right now.
All right, thank you guys. I appreciate that in-depth analysis for a weekend of games that are not super exciting. There are some other matchups going on though, right?
Also, David, good news for you. Good news for you. This may be your bargain game of the week. You can go to this game for the bargain basement value of $6 a ticket based on Vivid Seats right now.
It's not a bad deal, Jared. Come on down, buddy. We'll carpool.
Hokie Nation, let's ride.
All right. Well, that means that we're moving on to the quick fire bets, and let's be quick about them. I am taking Stanford to cover the spread against Miami. Jared is taking Stanford on the money line, but only with real money because there was not actually a real money line available to us. No, I would not take Stanford on the actual money line.
Well, because
Jared.
you're a wuss, and that's okay. I appreciate you understanding that. Listen, I'm betting money for you, the fans out there, so I can tell you about my success when I hit it big, and I can leave this broke ass podcast. On that note,
You are the definition of the broke part of this podcast, Jared. The
you
rest
better
of us
hey,
have earned money for this show.
hey, you better learn how to speak well there, buddy. Okay, you watch that tone. Anyway, where was I?
Nowhere.
Syracuse at Georgia Tech. I got Syracuse with the spread, plus 18 the hook. That's a lot of points. I still have the Yellow Jackets winning though, but take the points with the Qs.
All right, so I've got Louisville. What is it? Minus 22.5, Andrew. What's the number? It's minus 20 something. I don't know. It's a big number. I've got Louisville minus it versus Boston College. Not because Louisville necessarily blows everybody out, but because Boston College gets blown out, and they are hot ass in the ACC right now. So As David likes to say, Louisville minus anything in this one.
All right, so I've got the last game, and I know I'm gonna regret this. I regretted it a week ago when I took the Hoos to win big, but I'm doing it again. Virginia's traveling to Chapel Bill. I think the Tar Heels are in real trouble. I know that they were very competitive on the road against Cal last weekend, but I think that's a bit of a mirage. I think if this Virginia offense can get healthy and get right, they're going to put up a lot of points. I've got the Who's. I think the spread's what 10 or so. I think the Who's cover that in easy fashion.
All right. Well, that's it for the virtual tailgate. You can send your questions or comments to virtualtailgate@mediabullcrap.com.
And always remember these 3 rules. Never get less than 12 hours sleep.
Never play cards with a guy who has the same first name as a city.
And never get involved with a woman with a tattoo of a dagger on her body.
Stick to that, and everything else is cream cheese.
That's ball game.